Let's go. Hit that like button, guys. What do you say? Fuck, guys. You know the good stuff. What do you guys say? We just hop right into it. I appreciate you. Welcome to Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. I appreciate you for joining me. Hit that like button, share the stream. We're on our way to 15K. It is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025, and we got a damn lot of things to talk about. As usual, obviously, President Volodymyr Zelensky and the European leaders had their meeting with Donald Trump at the White House. A lot of clips to come out of that one. I'm not going to subject you to the whole thing, but just kind of picked out a few of the pieces that I wanted to highlight from that meeting, one of which is Trump doing this 180 now and completely backing away from calling for a ceasefire from Russia in this position, in this war. I don't know where that's all of a sudden coming from. One would have to assume that was something relayed to him by either Vladimir Putin personally or one of the Russian dignitaries in their meeting they had Friday in Alaska, because that is a switch, as I believe CNN put together a good little montage, a couple clips of Donald Trump calling for ceasefires, asking for a ceasefire, and then all of a sudden saying that a ceasefire is not required. We're not, let the fighting continue, and we'll figure out what we need to figure out in the backroom meetings. Not only that, but we have Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell, their reactions. Marco Rubio was on with Jesse Waters. Trump was on, had a phone interview with Fox and Friends. Once again, blamed Ukraine for taking on a country with 10 times the military, or he says something along the lines of that. We're going to be taking a look at the protest in Israel, which is a good thing to see. ICE is, again, still and remains out of fucking control in this country. And the DOJ is set to begin sharing the Epstein files with Congress. I don't know if you guys saw that. Let me see if I can. This was just kind of the ground news version, the ground news headline version of this one, where DOJ to begin sharing Epstein files with Congress on Friday. We'll be going over that. I appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Let me bring in the chat to say hi. Thank everybody for being here. Thank everybody for contributing to the show. Many ways we can contribute. Super chat, super sticker. You can do that, and it really, really helps the channel. You can also sign up for a membership just underneath me. You can also gift memberships out to people in the chat that may not be signed up already. There's also patreon.com/Boston Brian, and there is up in the corner, or at least there should be, a Venmo where it is very easy. You take a picture with your camera, sends you right to the Venmo. Bust a buck or two. Try your luck at supporting independent media, because, again, I have nothing behind a paywall. I am selling you nothing. The ad revenue is nil. I'm trying to do this the right way. I'm trying to do this the real way, and that is with the help and support of you guys, and you guys have been fantastic, and I honestly can't say thank you enough for all the love and support you've shown this channel, which is why we continue to grow, which is why we continue to add different shows. Like tomorrow is going to be our first day. We're doing our Wednesday 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern show. So check that out. That's going to be our first kind of partnership with the Letter Hack and this space. So you'll be watching on my channel, but they'll also be broadcasting simultaneously to this space. So make sure you're checking out our show tomorrow. I appreciate you guys for supporting me and continuing to raise people up in this space. It really means a lot. I got a lot of opinions on the meeting, shit that Donald Trump said, stuff that was said by the European leaders, stuff that was said by Zelensky, stuff that was said by reporters, and then obviously a lot of clips and other things to get into. What else? We got, like I said, a bunch of clips from the meeting there. We got Newsmax and their take on the situation, the Israeli protests. Like I said, the CNN clip. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was really fucking frustrating to see. This is really disheartening and hard to watch. I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was the captured U.S. M113 that was flying not only the American flag, but also simultaneously the Russian flag as well, in case you needed a better illustration as to the current relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Or at least how they see the relationship between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump at this moment. But this was very fucking gross, very sick to see. Not the first time, but now that one of these has been captured, but definitely the first time that I've seen one flying simultaneously the Russian flag and the United States flag, especially after such, important meetings being held. But what do you say we get into it? Like I said, hit that like button. This is Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. This is the political podcast that sifts through the lies, the bullshit, and the propaganda of the mainstream media. Breaks it down for the normal, everyday working class individuals such as yourself and myself, because that's who's affected by these policies. That is really who needs to be paying attention to this shit. So thank you again for being here. Thank you again for your support. Make sure you hit that like button. All right, what do you say we hop into it? First thing that I wanted to look at was, again, just a couple of the clips that we saw. I mean, that first one. Yeah, let me see if I can put this back on the stage. Put this back up there for you guys so you can see. I mean, this first one, again, was disheartening to see. It's obviously made its rounds on social media now. But, not something that you like to see, not only for the position of the United States on the world stage, but also just for the pure sense of the Russians capturing an American Bradley, an American fighting vehicle. Off the hands of, thank you so much, whoever just sent a Venmo. Hold on, it didn't say your name, but let me see if I can pop that up real quick. Thank you so much, James. Thank you, James. Appreciate you, brother. I really, really do. I'm gonna say thank you right now. Absolutely. Appreciate you. So I get a notification if you guys send a Venmo, and obviously anybody that sends a gift, super chat, super thanks, reaches a milestone in the chat. If I don't see it go by during the show, I stop the show at the end and we call out and we go over all of the contributions to the channel, all the contributions that you guys sent in during the day, and I give you guys your thanks, your pats on the back, and your congratulations. So don't be pissed off at me if for some reason I'm looking to the left and your super chat goes by on the right, because it will be highlighted. It will be called out at the end of the show. I do promise. But yeah, there was a few. Let me just start with the clips that I kind of highlighted on this one. And like I said, I'm not going to subject you to a lot of what was going on, because in the grand scheme of things, it was pretty mundane, pretty useless, pretty typical. People just, saying the talks were great, this and that. But there were a few moments that stuck out to me. First off, obviously, I think as the right was freaking out about what Volodymyr Zelensky was wearing. You can see Donald Trump's first comments when Zelensky got out of his limousine, out of his car there at the White House, was comments about what he was wearing. I think you can say he kind of mouths, "You look fantastic," and "Look at you," and "I love what you're wearing," things along the lines of that, which is very demeaning, condescending, a tone to take, especially after the way he was treated in the Oval Office the last time. And that wasn't the only time or the last time that Zelensky's attire was brought up. But one of the better moments in the day, and I just want to show you guys this one right off the bat, because I do think this was one of the better moments in the day where somebody actually talked to Donald Trump as he should be talked to, very direct, very to the point. Pretty aggressive as it pertains to, world leaders speaking to each other at a summit like this with other world leaders, because Friedrich Merz, the chancellor of Germany, was pretty much the only one that I saw that was actively and openly calling for Donald Trump to put more pressure on Russia to call for a ceasefire, to get a ceasefire. Right. So I just want to play this clip here because, again, this is one of the more poignant moments, I think, in the entire day. Which was, again, really didn't lead to much. If you're asking me, if you're asking for my opinion, it's great to see European leaders supporting Volodymyr Zelensky like that. It's great to see them all talking. It's great to see talks in this situation kind of progressing at all. But let fucking back the fuck down. Let's settle down on given this administration and given any credit to this summit or the meetings that was taking place either between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump or the European leaders, because as of yet, nothing has come from this. But this is, again, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz giving it to Donald Trump pretty straight. Like, listen, I don't even see how we could possibly have another one of these meetings if it's not calling for or talking about a ceasefire, which is the only time that I've heard this be brought up, especially in the Putin meeting. I never heard the word ceasefire mentioned. I never heard the words, Russian retreat or, the swapping of land. It never was talked about. So it was good to hear this from the German chancellor. So check this one out, and then we'll go on to the next clip. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
Last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations. And to be honest, we all would like to see a ceasefire, the latest from the next meeting on. I can't imagine that the next meeting would take place without a ceasefire. So let's work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because
and that's the important point right there. That's the fucking important point, is who you're applying the pressure to. It's not applying pressure to Zelensky. It's not applying pressure to Ukraine, the country that's being attacked and has been attacked. It's applying pressure to Putin, the man you just met with and shook hands with and rolled out the red carpet for. Yeah, that guy, that fucking U.S. soldiers were on their hands and knees in uniform, rolling out the fucking red carpet for Vladimir Putin, a war criminal, an internationally wanted man. But, I mean, again, just to add that to the list of things that, you put in the memory bank for this situation that you're going to look back upon in some number of years and be like, wow, that was pretty disgusting. That was a wild time that we lived in. And again, add that to the list of wild things that I've seen in my lifetime. It just, the list is endless. But he goes on too.
Of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over it.
And then before we get into Donald Trump's incoherent response, where he does the complete 180 on calling for a ceasefire, we'll go on to play a few more of the other clips here, because I don't want to spoil it too quick. Because again, it's kind of crazy that all of a sudden Vladimir Putin comes and meets with Donald Trump, and now all of a sudden Donald Trump is like, oh, we don't need a ceasefire. Screw the ceasefire. Let's just keep going. As those little reports are filtering in that, there have been small areas in which Russia has broken through some of Ukraine's front lines, not big groups, not massive attacks, but, it's kind of fucking convenient for Vladimir Putin that Donald Trump is going to allow that type of shit to continue, allow the missiles and drone attacks to continue. As these talks are supposedly, advancing. Just seems to be very convenient for Vladimir Putin, if I do say so myself. But this was another moment that I wanted to point out. Like I said, it wasn't the last time that that Volodymyr Zelensky's attire was brought up. I know you'll remember the last time he was in there, he was questioned by Brian Glenn, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boo-boo. About what he was wearing, and then it became this whole fucking hoopla, and he was extremely rude. Well, Brian Glenn was back again. This time, Volodymyr Zelensky wasn't having his shit, though. He wasn't taking his shit anymore, and even decided to fire back. So why don't we take a look at this exchange between Volodymyr Zelensky and Brian Glenn? Again, Brian Glenn is the one who started the whole bullshit about Volodymyr Zelensky's attire in the last Oval Office meeting. So remember that. Keep that in mind as we walk.
Last week, Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Yes, sir. I've got a question for each of you. First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit.
You gotta love the guy. He fires back, pointing out that Brian Glenn is in the same suit that he was in last time. So, better watch what you say. Don't throw stones at a glass house right there, Bri, if you only got one suit in that closet, because the other ones are all fucking ripped to shreds because Marge decided to try them on in the middle of the night, and she ripped the fucking sleeves off, and the back's got a tear right down the middle of them, right? And she got like steroid stains all down the armpits. Because you can't wear those suits anymore, you should maybe watch what the fuck you say around other world leaders, especially if they got if they're quick-witted, or if they're in the entertainment industry before this.
I changed you.
Maybe yours is much better.
And then he goes on to ask a very condescending question. A lot of condescending questions asked of Volodymyr Zelensky. I think Peter Doocy was asking him, "Are you going to continue to send Ukrainian civilian military members to their deaths?" It's like, shut the fuck up. What kind of rude fucking asshole way to ask a question is that, dude? Like, what do you? I mean, you'd mean how about in defense of the homeland, in defense of their families, in defense of their sovereign territory? Fucking, it's disgusting the way that he's addressed. It's disgusting the way that he's disrespected the way he is on the world stage. Not even on the world stage, just at if he comes to the United States and if he comes to the White House. It is pretty gross. There was also, I guess, this one I'll play too, where Donald Trump once again kind of demeans the Ukrainian constitution, kind of, puts aside and tries to sweep under the rug the Ukrainian constitution and the fact that, elections are suspended at a time of war, even though, Donald Trump now tries to use that, again, what is seemingly being used as justification if he wanted to kind of do this in the future. He goes on to say, oh, and in 3.5 years, if, the United States is somehow at war, then we won't have an elections either. What he's doing is trying to, demean and shame Zelensky into having elections, even though it's, again, written in law, written in the Ukrainian constitution that elections are suspended. I mean, how the fuck are you going to have elections when 20% of the country is occupied by an aggressor, by a genocidal fucking dictator? How are those people going to vote? Like, that doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this moment here. And of course, Donald Trump is a slime bag, grease ball, so he's going to use anything he possibly can as justification. But this should not be placed back on the backs of the Ukrainian people for having a constitution, for having that Ukrainian constitution say what it says, and Volodymyr Zelensky rightly following that Ukrainian constitution, again, with the overall majority support still from his country for his leadership in this war. But again, just a little bit of justification there. Was that not playing? Oh, sorry. My apologies. I didn't even put it on the board. Put it on the board, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. Let me see if I can do this. Share this tab instead. What a dingus. All right, one more time. My apologies. Here we go. Sorry.
So you say during the war, you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake.
You like this idea?
Right. So, I mean, it's just a small little thing that he used. And again, he's trying to, tell everybody, let everybody know that the Ukrainian constitution shouldn't mean shit, and that our constitution shouldn't mean shit, and that as the president, you should be able to do anything you choose. What you say goes, no matter what the laws of your country are. That's basically what Donald Trump is getting across here. So just another one of those little clips. And then here's Donald Trump again doing his complete 180, saying that now a ceasefire, and we don't need a ceasefire. No ceasefires needed. Right? Let me see if I can just play the clip here, and then I'll play where CNN has actually put together a bunch of clips in which Donald Trump was calling for a ceasefire, and now he's not calling for a ceasefire. So let me just make sure let me put this on the screen for you guys. Make sure you're seeing it, which you guys are right now. All right. So yeah, this is, you were warned of what you called severe consequences if a 30-day ceasefire or any type of ceasefire was not agreed to by Russia. Will there be severe consequences? Remember the show, the clip that we highlighted on this show, wanted to get on record, wanted to make sure that everybody saw, where Donald Trump 100% said if they did not walk away from this agreement, from these meetings with a ceasefire, the meetings with Vladimir Putin, that Russia would face severe consequences. It's on my YouTube now. It's both in fucking video and short form, just to make sure that it's out there and everybody knows that Taco Trump is going to bitch out once again. And here he is bitching out not even fucking 72 hours later. Check this out. This is where he's actually going to say that, we don't need ceasefire. Who needs a ceasefire?
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, you warned
of what you called severe consequences if a 30-day ceasefire or any type of ceasefire were not agreed to by Russia. Will there be severe consequences? Does that change because
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were
Now he's going to go on and talk about the 6 fake deals that he settled with the 6 wars that he supposedly ended here, not needing a ceasefire, as if that has anything to do with this conflict that we're now meeting about whatsoever. But again, no ceasefire. Donald Trump is now saying that Russia does not need to agree or even talk about a ceasefire at this point in order to get to the next step, the next level of these negotiations. And not only that, let me see if I can. Not only that, but Donald Trump also, let me see. I think I emailed where he actually said on True Social, you can count out Crimea, you can count out NATO. Let me see if I can find this. I thought I emailed it to myself. It's basically just a picture of one of Donald Trump's True Socials. I could probably find it on his. Could probably find it on his page. Let me see if I can find it here. But he basically just kind of rules out ever getting Crimea back. He kind of rules out the possibility of Ukraine ever joining NATO, basically in one True Social post. And again, as we'll hear in his Fox and Friends interview, again puts the blame on Ukraine. Let's see here if I can find this just real quick. I don't think it was a long one. I think it was a short one. 6 wars in 6 months, yada, yada, yada. Hostages. Talks about mailing fucking unbelievable. He's talking about mailing ballots at these things. Hottest fake news. President again the war. Oh, here we go. Right here. Put this on this. Can you see that? Yeah, make it a little bigger so you can see. I'll even zoom in a little bit. So this is President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to. As if for some reason we think that Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of a country that has been continuously under attack for almost a fucking decade now, more than a decade, is for some reason doesn't want to end this thing. That's what our president is trying to get across now. And he says, no getting back Obama given Crimea without 12 years ago without a shot being fired, and no going into NATO by Ukraine. Some things never change. So here he is ruling out a ceasefire, ruling out the possibility of Crimea, ruling out the possibility of the return of Crimea, and ruling out the membership, the NATO membership of Ukraine. Right here in one fucking tweet, in 1 week, in one meeting with Vladimir Putin. No ceasefire, fucking automatically giving Vladimir Putin the entirety of Crimea, it seems. And again, not allowing Ukraine to ever join NATO. And we're again talking about security guarantees. What are the security guarantees that everybody's talking about? What are these specific guarantees that I want to hear that are going to be in place to ensure? And in fact, if we give away the rest of the Donbass, right? If we give away the rest of the Donetsk region, be sure. Let me see. Did I fucking send this to myself? I hope I did. Let me see. There's a good article that I read that was talking about just how dangerous it would be. Let me see here. Did Mel send that to me? Let me see. Give me a second, guys. My apologies. Let me throw my big dumb face up on the screen again. Forget if that was the one that Mel sent me or not. Just give me a hot minute. Give me a hot minute. Why the hell can I never find the links that I need? All right, let me see. Links here. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Damn. I can never remember where I got sent these things. But it was a good article. I think it was the Politico article depicting, the similarities in the giving back of the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia and how dangerous it would be to give away the rest of Donetsk, the rest of the Donbass, which Ukraine has spent a shitload of time, energy, and manpower trying to defend, trying to build fortifications, trying to use the terrain in that territory, in that area as a border that they can use between Russia and themselves in the case that Russia were ever to break through. Right, so that would be like giving where the Czechoslovakians were really fortifying the Sudetenland and really building, and pouring serious amounts of money into the defense of the Sudetenland when it was just given away by the Allies to fucking Hitler. And that really crippled the ability of Czechoslovakia to defend itself going forward in the future. So if we give away this territory that, again, Ukraine has spent a lot of time, energy, manpower, resources in building up the defenses in, and we just hand that to Vladimir Putin, that just forces Ukraine to then have to build up somewhere else on a flatter area in their country, making it harder to defend, right? More difficult to defend. So I think they were talking about places like Kharkiv, where it's flat. The terrain can't be used as like a defensive weapon, as a barrier for your enemy. You understand what I'm saying? So it's putting a double whammy on Ukraine if we were to give away that territory. Not only, again, is it already built up, heavily fortified, and Russia will be gaining access to those fortifications, but then we'll have to, it forces Ukraine to then build up fortifications and spend more money and exert more resources and manpower, building up fortifications in areas that aren't really the best areas to be building fortifications. The terrain in these areas aren't conducive to be building fortifications, the likes that they need to stop what they're going to have to stop, right? So there's many areas that we're looking at where any territory given away has huge consequences, especially if we don't have damn fucking concrete security guarantees from the United States, from the European allies, saying that we will absolutely step in 100% with the entirety of our military fucking force if it even remotely looks like Russia is even fucking contemplating another surge into Ukraine, another fucking takeover of more territory, more territorial expansion. So let me see. I thought I had, I think it was a Politico. Let me see. I'll see if I can just look it up real quick. Shouldn't take me too long. Politico, date to land, Ukraine. See if that brings it up. Oh, here we go. Told you it wouldn't take me too long. All right. So this is the article that I was talking about here. And no, I don't want to buy anything. I'll agree, though. Why Munich 1938 concessions to Nazi Germany haunt Washington 2025 talks, right? So handing over massive fortification lines to an expansionist neighbor hell-bent on destroying your state tends to be a bad idea. In 1938, ceding the Sudetenland and its defensive networks, forts, and forest trenches led to the rapid collapse of Czechoslovakia's ability to defend itself against Nazi Germany. These affairs in Europe that Kyiv's ability to resist Russia will be similarly devastated if Donald Trump, swayed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, presses Ukraine to hand over key defensive lines in the eastern Donbass region. This danger was upmost in Volodymyr Zelensky's mind as he met with Trump in Washington on Monday, following the U.S. president's meeting last week with Putin. While Trump may see a slice of the Donbass as a bone to throw Putin to secure a deal, Zelensky knows such a concession would undermine any peace deal and position the Russians to charge further into the heart of Ukraine. He says it is crucial for Europe not to turn this into another Munich or Yalta moment. That is Thomas Kopechny, the Czech government commissioner for the reconstruction of Ukraine, told Politico, referring to the Western betrayal of the Czechs in the Munich summit in 1938 and the selling out of Central and Eastern Europe to Joseph Stalin at Yalta in 1945. But I would definitely advise you to, if you got the time, to take a look at these. Take a look at this article because it's very eye-opening. It's very telling. A lot of people just don't know how much is invested in that eastern portion of the Donbass by Ukraine, just how heavily fortified and just what it would cost them to then have to go on and build further forts, further fortifications in areas that, again, are not conducive to such fortifications like the forests and stuff that are in the eastern Donbass that, again, are do a great job by themselves at making it difficult for the enemy to traverse that type of terrain, right? So then if you can add on the terrain, add on your military reinforcements, add on your engagements with them, then that makes it exponentially more difficult for the enemy to advance as opposed to on flat open ground where it's very hard to defend said territory, right? Oh, thank you guys. Thank you to everybody that's gifting. Thank you to Gino. Thank you, Roxanne. Congratulations, Gino. Congratulations, Roxanne. Gino been here for 17 months. Roxanne for 4 months. Let's fucking go, guys. I appreciate you. Remember, super sticker, super chat, Venmo up in the corner, patreon.com/Boston Brian. I really, really, really need your assistance and your help to keep this going. If we're going to do this with your support and your support alone, then, you know, I got to continue to broaden our horizons and make sure that we continue to reach new people on a daily basis. And that can only be done if you guys continue to share and like and put this out on different social media platforms for people to see. And I thank you to everybody that continuously does that every show. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, that is just something that I wanted to point out as well on that, because, you know, it's not just, okay, we'll give him this and then, you know, he'll fucking give up a little bit of that and then we'll end this. Like, there are serious ramifications. There are serious consequences to what land is given up, what land is ceded to this fucking genocidal, dictatorial madman, Vladimir Putin, by the United States. Again, obviously it would have to be agreed upon by Ukraine, but it remains to be seen just how how far Donald Trump is willing to go, just how far, especially in land swaps, as they call them, Donald Trump is willing to force Ukraine's hand in this situation. But this is just a little bit of a clip put together by CNN. Again, remember how Donald Trump now has done this 180, all of a sudden now says, you know, we don't need no stinking ceasefire. What's a ceasefire? I don't know what a ceasefire is, right? So this is Donald Trump. Let me see if I can I get so many things over. Was it this one? This one. Was it this one? No, it was this one. All right, yeah. This is Donald Trump calling for a ceasefire in multiple positions, multiple places over a long period of time. So let's just check this out. Here you go. That's not it either, but this one is.
And he changed his tune on a major sticking point that echoes Russia.
And I think we'll probably end up at some point getting a ceasefire in the not too distant future. I want it to end immediately. I want a ceasefire now. Pretty soon have a full ceasefire.
He has made it clear to both sides that he wants to see a peaceful resolution and a ceasefire as soon as possible.
I'd like to see a ceasefire. I want to see a ceasefire. I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at...
Cut to today. Now, cut to yesterday's meeting with the European leaders. All of a sudden, after this summit that he held, after this meeting that he held with Vladimir Putin in Alaska, all of a sudden a ceasefire is off the table. All of a sudden a ceasefire is like crazy talk. It's something that we don't need it. It's ridiculous to even bring that up. Why would we want the killing to stop? Like, this is, it's a huge twist. It's a huge turn in what Donald Trump has been saying. And it literally comes on the heels of his meeting with Vladimir Putin. So one can only assume, without further information, that this was something brought to the table by Vladimir Putin himself, considering this was not something that Donald Trump was speaking about. This is not something that Donald Trump was talking about, you know, a ceasefire not being something that we needed before his meeting with Vladimir Putin. So just one more time, as he continues here to call for no ceasefire, listen to his justification here.
That I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight.
And he changed his tune on a major sticking point that echoes Russia.
And I think we'll probably end up at some point getting a ceasefire.
Right. And then it just goes on to repeat itself. But I mean, you can see the change, right? That's not really it's not a big breaking news story that Donald Trump was actually calling for a ceasefire, or even wasn't afraid to utter the word ceasefire. And now all of a sudden, as the European leaders are calling for a ceasefire, Donald Trump, after his meeting with Vladimir Putin, is against a ceasefire. Says a ceasefire is something that we don't need. Not adding that with add that to this, where he's saying that, Crimea is out of the question, and any chance that you thought NATO, that Ukraine had to enter NATO, yeah, that's off the table as well. And then if you add that with Donald Trump's rhetoric in this little fucking doodad here, let me see if I can bring this up for you guys too, because this is his little, this is a little interview that he did with Fox and Friends, again, where he blames Ukraine for this war. He puts the onus on the back of Ukraine for starting this war. Once again, pair that with the rhetoric after his meeting with the European leaders. Pair that with the rhetoric after his meeting with Vladimir Putin. And it doesn't seem like he's hell bent again on making sure that every single hostile Russian inside of Ukraine gets the hell out of Ukraine. Again, it's ridiculous to me that nobody is calling for this. Like, and you'll hear, I don't know if it's in the Newsmax or in the Fox things that we're going to watch, but they actually find it like ridiculous that anybody on the left would be calling for Donald Trump to pressure Vladimir Putin and Russia to get out of Ukraine in its entirety, like to leave the sovereign territory of the country that it invaded. Like, Fox thinks that's nuts. Newsmax thinks that's nuts. The Trump administration thinks we're crazy for calling that. Fucking Kremlin Clay, the Republican congressman, can't even fathom a world in which the United States calls for Russia to get the fuck out of Ukraine in its entirety. Like, I don't see why it's that difficult. Why is that hard for us to call? Like, isn't that what we should be asking for? Isn't that the ultimate goal of the United States in this, is helping our ally Ukraine get their enemy, get the fucking attacker out of their territory, off their fucking territory, wherever they stand? Like, shouldn't that be our goal in this? Shouldn't that be our goal? Tim's been sick, apparently. Tim went out of his way to put on Twitter that he's been very, very sick with a tummy ache. So he's going to be missing a few shows. So I don't think we'll be seeing any of Tim Pool's drool anytime soon, maybe in the next fucking few days. So you're relieved of duty. You're relieved of duty of listening to Tim Pool. But what do you say before we get into Donald Trump on Fox and Friends in his latest comments against Ukraine? Why don't we take a look at we have three choices. We have Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell, or Marco Rubio on Jesse Waters. What do you guys think? We'll just kind of going to skip through a little bit of each one of their clips. What do you guys want to start with? Let me know in the chat. Hit me in the chat. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? We got Lawrence O'Donnell, Maddow, or Marco Rubio on with Jesse Waters. Come on, hit me in the chat. What do you guys think? We got one for Maddow, two for Rach. All right, we'll go Rach. That just seems to be the first one I saw. All right, let me see if I can open this. Stop this. Go to here. I'll pop this on the screen for you guys. Stop. All right, and then you can share this tab instead. Make sure you guys can see it, and we are on our way. Make sure you guys hit that like button. I am Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Just kind of going on through a little bit of the reaction to not only Donald Trump's meeting with Vladimir Putin, but also the meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky and the other European leaders. This is Rachel Maddow's take, and I think on a few more news stories as well. And then, like I said, we'll kind of skim through what Lawrence O'Donnell had to say. Usually the beginnings are the best. We're not gonna sit through all of these. And then, like I said, we got Donald Trump on Fox and Friends, Marco Rubio on with Jesse Waters. We'll be talking about the Israeli protests as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys stay glued to the channel. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, share the stream. I appreciate you very much. Please share the stream out. That's probably one of the most important things above and beyond your like for this show. So please make sure you share it out so we can get a broader reach on the audience there. So let's say we hit a little bit of what Rachel's got to say, and then we'll get on to Lawrence O'Donnell, and we'll continue. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Against Trump for him botching the situation with Ukraine and Russia. Those people outside the White House today are in crowded company. If you look at the latest approval ratings, the latest polling, national polling on this issue, the latest Pew poll that's just out asked this question, for example, quote, how confident are you that Donald Trump can handle the war between Ukraine and Russia? Americans say they are not confident in Trump's ability to handle.
Honestly, it's kind of shocks me that it's not higher. The not confidence portion of this is not higher. The fact that we still have 41%, at least, judging by this poll, of people that are willing to say they are confident in Trump's handling of the war between Russia and Ukraine is still kind of pathetic. It means that we still have some severely uninformed or misinformed people in the electorate, or at least that participated in this poll.
The Ukraine-Russia war. Americans are not confident in Trump's ability to handle that matter by an 18-point margin. He is 18 points underwater on his handling of Russia and Ukraine. That said, the whole Pew poll on what Americans think right now about President Donald Trump
Well,
is
again, I mean,
just
you'd have to
one
see.
thing.
One would have to see what the statistics of the poll were. It's August 4th to 10th, plus or minus 1.8 points. Doesn't say how many people are questioned, you know what I mean? But you can gather a lot of information by a poll on where it was taken, who engaged in the poll, how many people inevitably engaged in the poll, type of thing.
After another that's that bad or worse. Are you confident in Trump's ability to handle things with Iran? Not confident by a 12-point margin. Are you confident in Trump's ability to make wise decisions when it comes to global energy issues? Not confident by an 18-point margin. Are you confident in Trump's ability to work effectively with our allies? Not confident by an 11-point margin. Are you confident in Trump's ability to manage our policy toward China, our relationship with Canada, our relationship with Israel? No, no, and no. Not confident in any of those things.
Israel,
do you approve
Ukraine,
or disapprove of Trump's tariff policy?
61% here, as it says, disapprove of Trump's handling of tariffs. Underwater by 23 points.
Disapprove of Trump's tariff policies by a 23-point margin. How confident are you in Donald Trump?
This is what I'm talking about when I say that we need to be able to use this. Like, if we as Democrats, as progressives, as fucking lefties can't use this political time and the ammunition that we have against our political opponent to our advantage, then we need to find a different fucking profession. Like, we need to find some different avenue in order to help society advance and progress, because this ain't it. Because if we have this much of the country disapproving of this much of what this administration is engaged in, above and beyond the Trump and Epstein fucking relationship, above and beyond his special treatment of Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted child sex trafficker and pedophile herself, above and beyond his attempt at overthrowing democracy, above and beyond his friendship and ass kissing of Vladimir Putin and other dictators around the world. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. I appreciate you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution, and you guys too can do and help this channel in a similar way, just like Lisa by sending a super chat or a super sticker. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Lisa. That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, this continues too.
Ability to make good decisions about foreign policy. Not confident by a 14-point margin. How confident are you in Donald Trump's ability to manage the executive branch effectively? Not confident by a 15-point margin.
Right. So I think the trend is fucking clear.
All in all, what effect is Donald Trump having on the way the federal government works in Washington? Americans say he is making things worse. By a 26-point margin, Americans say he is making everything in Washington worse, not better.
So I'm curious.
Would you use the word honest to describe Donald Trump? No, by a 26-point margin. Would you say Trump is a good role model? Americans say no, by a 41-point margin. This is a nice one. Do you approve or disapprove of the way the Trump administration is handling information?
I mean, there's a big one right there, too. There's a big one right there. I mean, how many times have you heard that rarely does 70% of the American fucking public agree on anything? But 70% disapprove of fucking Donald Trump's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Again, things that we need to pounce on as progressives, as Democrats. Every single one of these issues, the tariffs, Jeffrey Epstein, Ukraine, Israel, ICE, what he's doing at home. Every single one of these issues needs to be fucking brought up, spotlighted, highlighted, thrown in their face, fucking beat them over the head with these numbers, with these issues, with the fucking anger and frustration of the American public right now that we're seeing. Right? That's what we need. That's what we need to do. So fucking hammer away. And it doesn't matter. Whichever one of these that interests you the most, or, if you're a creator and whichever one of these you dive into the most, fucking hammer it. That's why we have a big tent here on the left. We have people that can handle specific situations. We have people that handle everything. But we need people hammering at all fucking levels, at every corner of social media and the internet, every single one of these things. Tariffs, Ukraine, Israel, ICE at home, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, every single thing that we could possibly think of. We need to be fucking beating them senselessly and mercilessly over the heads with at every single turn. And, you know, tomorrow on the show, I'll be playing my sit-down interview that I had with retired Army Major Richard Ojeda, friend of the show, candidate for North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. Check out ojeda4nc.com to check out, his campaign, his policies, ways to get involved. But we had a nice sit-down, candid interview, no edits, no filter, and he was on it. He was on one. He was fired up about this meeting with Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. He was fired up about what's going on in this country. He was fired up about his campaign, and I'm excited to show you guys that sit-down. So tomorrow on our first broadcast on our Wednesday 1 to 2 p.m. show, we'll be taking a look at that sit-down, that interview that I had with Major Ojeda, again, candidate for North Carolina's 9th Congressional District, and that is ojeda4nc.com if you want to check out facts and figures and stuff pertaining to the Major. So thank you so much again to the Major for sitting down for his time. I'd like to get him on the live show as well. That would be great. Because he is he's a real one. He really is a real one. He's unfiltered. He's unapologetic. He doesn't give a fuck who he's got a fucking what Republican or what career politician he has to push out of the way in order to advance the populist policies, the populist beliefs that he has, and I admire him and respect him for that. So again, thank him. Thanks to that. Let's see if we can hop in. Looks like Rachel's just talking about these polls. Let's see if we can hop into Lawrence here. Stop, Lawrence. Yes, I'm going to play at the beginning so everybody can hear you, my friend. Let me see here. I'm going to share this tab instead. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to make sure so I don't look like an asshole. Yes, you can. Get rid of this one. Where'd it go? All right, here we go. All right. So this is Lawrence O'Donnell's take. This is President Zelensky had a successful day in the Trump White House. Again, I'll speed it up just a touch. We'll get through just kind of the intro, the introduction, see what his take was on the whole matter. Again, we're not going to play the whole thing, and then we'll get on to our next story, our next clip. So I appreciate you guys. Again, this is Lawrence O'Donnell, just his take on Zelensky's meeting and the European leaders meeting with Trump yesterday at the White House. Take it away, Lawrence.
Well, it was another successful day in the White House for the president. That president was, of course, Volodymyr Zelensky. President Zelensky, the most heroic European leader of the 21st century, went to the White House today surrounded by 7 other European leaders, including 5 European heads of state, to prevent Donald Trump from doing something crazy. That was the whole purpose of their trip. And once again, President Zelensky and the European leaders succeeded. Donald Trump did nothing crazy today about Ukraine, and only today. We don't know.
I don't know. I find it somewhat crazy, not to disagree with Larry here, but I very much disagree with not calling or pressuring Vladimir Putin in Russia towards a ceasefire. I think it's fucking asinine and ridiculous to all of a sudden come out and say that this is a war that doesn't require a ceasefire, that Russia doesn't have to agree to a ceasefire in order to advance itself in the negotiation process. Vladimir Putin was already rewarded with his trip to the United States. He had to give up nothing. He had to promise nothing. He had to sign nothing. He had to agree to nothing in order to get his photo op, shaking the hand of the president of the United States, walking down a red carpet set by United States military fucking members, waltzing in with a smile on his face, answering absolutely no fucking questions, agreeing to absolutely nothing, and flying back out again. Again, in the meantime, did you guys see this bullshit? Did you guys see this? Did I close it? Did you see where Putin actually gave that Alaskan guy a fucking motorcycle? Like, something's got to be wrong with that, right? Something's got to be illegal with that. I'd say either burn that or give that back to the government. Did you see that story? I'll see if I can pull that up after Lawrence here. But just him being able to waltz freely around our territory and hand out gifts and receive gifts, it's fucking a disgrace. And he got everything that he wanted while having to give up absolutely and promise absolutely nothing in return.
But that is what a successful day looks like now in a White House, which used to be occupied by presidents who tried to prevent Russian dictators from doing something crazy. Success for Donald Trump today was measured in how much his not doing something crazy on Ukraine could distract attention from Donald Trump's long friendship with child rapist Jeffrey Epstein and his criminal co-conspirator, who also physically abused children with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is also a friend of Donald Trump's.
Thank you,
and
brother.
Currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking, a sentence that Donald Trump made much easier by recently.
And again, what about the fucking kids? What about the Ukrainian kids that were stolen, that were kidnapped and shipped back to Russia and sold on the fucking black market, on the internet? What about the 20,000 plus kids that were stolen? When are we going to start talking about that? When is that going to be a fucking line in the sand that the United States draws? How about when the kids are fucking returned? We hear a lot about the hostages in you know, the Israeli hostages and hostages and hostages and hostages. What about the fucking the 20,000 plus Ukrainian children hostages that were taken by Vladimir Putin and his fucking Russian thugs? When are we going to call for the return of the fucking children? How about that are being sold as slaves on the black market in and around Russia? How about we start there? How about get the fuck out of Russia? Get the fuck out of Ukraine and return the kids. It seems like a pretty simple starting point, if you ask me, for a negotiation. If anybody is going to be seriously entered into a negotiation with the United States and with Ukraine, I think they should be fucking at least willing to seriously consider removing their aggressive, hostile troops from a territory they have fucking no right to, killing people on a nightly basis. And then I think they should be able to agree to return the fucking stolen kids, you cocksuckers. How about that as a starting point in these negotiations? How about fucking that? Get the fuck out of Ukraine. Give us back the kids. Give me some security guarantees. 1, 2, 3. Can we start there?
Transferring her to the most lenient federal facility for women prisoners, which one former Bureau of Prison officials called a country club. That country club is in Texas, close to Ghislaine Maxwell's family, and is an upgrade in every way she could hope from the more serious prison where she was doing hard time or harder time in Florida. Donald Trump's attempt at diversion will work with most of the news media today, but it won't work on this program. We will be joined tonight by Congressman Robert Garcia.
That's the problem, though. That's the fucking problem with this. As much as we can believe and we can insist upon the fact that this is just another distraction attempt from Donald Trump's criminality involving Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, like, we have to fucking take this seriously. Like, these talks, these negotiations, these are involving real people. They are determining the future of millions and millions of real human individuals. So, distraction as it may be, what is said and what comes out of these meetings is very fucking important and very consequential. So it's you know, they kind of got us by the balls where it's a thing that it has to be reported upon, but in every way possible, we need to make sure that we tie it back somehow to Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Trump's administration in their second term, in their fucking incoherence, incompetence, and corruption. As long as we fucking continue to tie this all back, we need to continue to talk about all of it, but we need to make sure that it is all, you know, staying in perspective. You know what I mean?
Ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. That committee took testimony today from the person who was Donald Trump's worst Senate-confirmed Attorney General in Donald Trump's first term. But William Barr was the Attorney General when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on federal charges.
Let's just see. I just want to see if he's got any more comments on the meeting here. Let's see.
When it ends, I can't tell you, but the war is going to end, and this gentleman wants it to end, and Vladimir Putin wants it to end. I think the whole world is tired of it, and we're going to get it.
Again, saying it sitting next to the man leading the country that has been under attack for over a decade, and then going on to say that the man perpetrating those attacks continuously, still, nightly, every single day, regardless of what he says to your face, really wants peace is fucking insane on a level I can't comprehend. It really is. It really is. It's almost as crazy as sitting there like, talking about how much the media hates you and how the fucking coverage you get is so unfair in the media. Again, as you're sitting next to a world leader who is currently at war with an enemy of the United States. It's fucking, it's insane. And I know it's been so completely normalized since Donald Trump came into the fucking picture because he's just, this is what he does. But I hope we can continue to impress upon you people just how insane this is so that when Donald Trump is officially taken and drawn his last breath on this fucking planet, that we can go back to at least a bit of somewhat, like, I don't know what you got, normalcy, like go back to not being fucking so self-absorbed and arrogant and, you know, and like fucking narcissistic that you're going to sit there in front of a fucking world leader that's literally fighting for his life and his country's life, talking about the fucking favorable coverage you're getting in the media and mail-in ballots and how the man that's perpetrating this war wants peace. Like, it's fucking, it's embarrassing. It's, you know, I'm ashamed. It's demeaning. It's degrading. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking nuts.
Ended.
Vladimir Putin has never said he wants it to end. Today, when Donald Trump said...
It's like saying that fucking Ukraine could come and end this war immediately. Like he said here, remember this? President Zelensky of Ukraine can end this war with Russia almost immediately. Oh, yeah? How? With what deal that's on the table so far? So how is the man being attacked going to end this war almost immediately? By just giving up all of his territory? I guess that's one way. Not exactly how I feel it should be fucking done. But apparently Donald Trump has no problem, as long as he gets that Nobel Peace Prize, with you know, giving up as much Ukrainian territory, regardless of what that means in the future, as he fucking possibly has to. And it's crazy. It really is fucking crazy. All right. So before we get too deep into that, I do want to check out a little bit of this as well. And then we'll go on to talk about the Israeli protest. But I do want to cover just a little bit of what Donald Trump said in this fucking ridiculous phone conversation that he had with Fox and Friends. This was, again, the rhetoric coming from Donald Trump is more forceful towards Ukraine, more forceful towards Volodymyr Zelensky than anything that was said at any point during the summit with him and Vladimir Putin, or anything that has been said against Russia or to Putin in a long time. Again, putting the blame on Ukraine, again, saying it's stupid of Ukraine to attack a neighbor that is so much larger. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but you'll go on to hear here. Listen to this fucking bullshit. We'll speed it up just a little bit again so we don't have to subject you guys to too much of Donald Trump's mundane bullshit. But let's just cover just a little bit of this. See if I can even cut in just a little bit more. Let's do right here. How about that? Let's go.
Hopefully meets them together. And joining us now on the phone with more details, the President of the United States, the 45th and 47th President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining Fox and Friends this morning.
Good morning. That's quite a crew. That's quite a crew.
And I don't know if Donald Trump was like just happened to sniff a line of Adderall that was too long and too fucking big this morning, or if like the dosage was off. This might maybe somebody slipped in a fucking 100 milligram when it was supposed to be a 10 milligram. I don't know what was going on, but Donald Trump would not shut the fuck up. The Fox people couldn't get a question in edgewise. They were trying to shut him up and they couldn't. And he's rambling about Sean Hannity and fucking the dates that he's going to have with the lady on the couch and this and that. Listen to this fucking rambling, nonsensical bullshit. I might even have to slow it down because he's talking he's chirping so much and won't shut the fuck up. We might have trouble understanding him. But listen to this. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is this morning. So check this out. Play anytime.
Well, Mr. President, the whole world was watching yesterday as you got leaders from the European Union, NATO, as well, from all over the world. How did you get them to Washington, to the Oval Office so fast?
Well, I think really they have respect for our country.
It's these new things they have now. They kind of congregate at these thing called airports, and then people, what they do is they buy a ticket and then they get on this thing, and then this remarkable piece of fucking technology has either sometimes 2, maybe 4 engines on it, jet engines, and then it propels this object at such a speed that you can actually get places it takes you shorter periods of time to get places. They're called planes. And what people do is they hop on those when they need to get somewhere very quickly. And it will take them from one airport, they're called, to another airport, which is typically in one of the major areas, or sometimes they have them in rural spots of these states as well, and they take you to wherever you need to go after that through a car. So I'm going to say plane. My answer is plane.
Again, a year ago they wouldn't have come. They wouldn't have even thought about it. Now we've become the hottest country anywhere in the world. Everybody wants to be here. When I made the call, they came, and they said there's really never.
Yes, in support of Ukraine and Volodymyr Zelensky, the fact that they dropped everything at a moment's notice to come over here and stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand with the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, knowing what the fuck happened last time in his last Oval Office meeting, and how their presence at this meeting would surely keep Trump's administration in line. Not only that, but it shows just how important this is to the European leaders themselves. But I think it goes way further in showing their support in the importance of this fight in Europe, their support for Ukraine, that is, than it does, fucking that they're willing to jump when Donald Trump says jump and they're asking how high type of bullshit.
Been anything like it. You'd have one president or one prime minister, but there's never been, such a group. And these really
right. There's never been such an incompetent fucking hack as president. Well, besides 2016 when he was president the first time, but really the European leaders haven't had to deal with such an incompetent piece of shit at such a fucking important and pivotal time in their history as they do now. So that's probably why you're seeing the unprecedented reaction from said European leaders.
Present the European nations, these people, and they're very good people, and they want to end the war, that horrible war with Ukraine and Russia. It's a horrible war.
It was such a sense of unity, and we all enjoyed watching it because America is on top, and it was on your turf, on your terms. I know yesterday you talked about arranging a meeting to take place in 2 weeks between Putin and Zelensky. Is there an update there, and do you plan to attend?
Well, that's funny because I've heard in reporting that that Russia has not agreed to a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. Where did I see that? Was that in one of the CNN things? Let's see if I can just pull that up real quick, because I believe I did see a reporting meeting with Zelensky. Just want to make sure I'm reporting factual information. Let's see, this is Politico right here. Moscow waffles on Putin Zelensky summit as Trump escalates pressure. Talks would come step by step, gradually starting from the expert level and then going through all necessary stages, says Russia's foot-dragging foreign minister. Don't free up your calendar just yet. Moscow on Tuesday moved to cool expectations of a long-awaited face-to-face summit between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russia's Vladimir Putin, despite much excitement following U.S. President Donald Trump's White House meeting with top European leaders on Monday. Trump has been enthusiastically touting the idea of a trilateral summit featuring himself, Putin, and Zelensky as the best route to end Kremlin's war on Ukraine, but Russia signaled it was in no rush to get there. But Russia signaled it was in no rush to get there during an interview with state-controlled television channel Russia 24 on Tuesday. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Moscow does not refuse talks with Ukraine, but crucially insisted any summit would have to be prepared to, quote, step by step, gradually starting from the expert level and then going through all necessary stages. Russia's calibrated language follows a similar pattern, agree in principle, stall in practice. A similar dynamic played out in May when Putin suggested a Russian meeting with Zelensky for peace talks, only to send a second tier of delegation instead. We've talked about that. Not only that, but it was reported Russia's strikes on Ukraine as these talks were ongoing. Let me see if I can pull that up too. Russia strikes. Yeah, this is it right here. So this is going on during the White House meeting. And this is, this is reported by Fox, just so you can fucking, if they're reporting it. Russian drone kills 7 in Kharkiv during Zelensky's White House meeting with Trump. Toddler and teenager among victims in Kharkiv and Zaporizhia. Attacks on Monday. Again, as this was fucking going on, People are still dying. People are dying and dying and dying. Kids, teenagers dying. While Donald Trump fucking waffles around, while Moscow fucking waffles around. Again, if Politico knows that this is similar in pattern, agree in principle, stall in practice, similar dynamic played out in May when Putin suggested a meeting with Zelensky and only sent a secondary tier. Again, and since then, the missile and drone attacks have increased, have doubled since then. So where did that get us? So Donald Trump continues to walk himself into the fucking the open midst, the open grasp of KGB agent fucking Vladimir Putin, and allows him more time, allows him fucking there's no ceasefire now, allows him to have the Crimea and no fucking NATO involvement for Ukraine. Seems like Vladimir Putin's get everything he wants while giving up absolutely nothing in return. What are we demanding of Russia? What are we demanding of Vladimir Putin in return? Or is this all done so that we can talk about fucking Donald Trump and his Nobel fucking Peace Prize? And we also, I know Trump was caught on, what they're calling this hot mic moment where he says Putin wants to get a deal done for him. And I mean, I think that's what we always have known Donald Trump was thinking, that if Vladimir Putin was going to do a deal, it was going to be for Donald Trump and not for the betterment of society, not to stop killing civilians, not to, allow peace to envelop Europe. I think we've always known that. So I don't know what, it really wasn't this like hot mic moment. I think the fact that maybe he was telling European leaders this may have been the news itself, that he was saying that, he thinks Vladimir Putin is willing to make a deal for him and fucking, did you see where the ballroom's going to be great? It's going to be a great ballroom. Right. It's all about him. Exactly. It's all about him and whether or not he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize and who's doing what for who. And if Putin fucking actually does something, it's only going to be because Donald Trump said so and only because Donald Trump. I mean, well, that being said, Lady J, we're going to have on the show Wednesday night, on our Wednesday night show, Jake Bro, ladies and gentlemen. So I'd like to announce now that, we're going to have Jake Bro on the podcast Wednesday night. We'll be discussing not only Vladimir Putin's summit and talks with Donald Trump, but of course the meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky, the European leaders, at the White House. We'll be talking about that. I'll absolutely question him on his thoughts on whether or not he believes it was at some point or at any point a Vladimir Putin body double at his meeting. And then I'll obviously question him on, where he thinks this is going to go from here. And what we can expect. So, excited to get Jake. Jake is obviously well-versed in this conflict. He a really big creator, ton of followers, ton of people on social media that look to him for information, as they should. So very appreciative of Jake for taking the time out to, again, join Blunt Politics and give his insights and opinions onto what is going on and what we can expect. Double hitter on Wednesday. So we got 11 a.m. Pacific time and then 5:30 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Again, the early show is just going to be an hour. I'm going to be showing you guys my sit-down interview with Major Ojeda, again, North Carolina's candidate for the 9th Congressional District and friend and colleague. So make sure you guys are checking that out. And then tomorrow night we'll be talking to Jake Bro. So it's going to be a fucking double feature, a double header. Some great guests on the show. Like I said, I'm trying to expand. I'm trying to evolve. I'm trying to make sure that we continue to branch out and talk to different people to make sure we get different perspectives and have the people that you guys talk about in the chat on the show. I'm trying. I'm trying my best because if I'm being honest, I'm in a fucking hole and I'm just trying to dig my way out of it because I won't go too far into that. But believe me, I need all the help and support that you guys can muster for this channel. And again, without dropping down on my knees. That's all I'm going to say. I appreciate it. Again, Venmo in the corner. You can sign up at patreon.com, $2.99. You become a channel member for the month. Even a single month really, really goes a long way. You can gift memberships, membership milestones, the whole thing. So I appreciate it. But yeah, let's see if we can check back in on this asshole. My apologies. Share this again and put this back up and let's roll. Here we go.
No, I thought I'd do first let them meet. You know, they haven't been exactly best friends. They haven't gotten along very well. And I called President Putin yesterday, and I do have a good relationship, but it, you know, only matters if we get things done. Otherwise, I don't care about the relationship. I do have a good relationship with him, but I want to get things done. You know, I've solved.
Well, then you must be really fucking frustrated because you haven't gotten shit done. You haven't gotten a jack fucking thing done. Not a single thing. So, again, in what way are you touting your relationship with Vladimir Putin?
Wars. We ended 7 wars. I thought this would be one of the easier ones, and this has turned out to be the toughest one. India, Pakistan. I mean, these were big ones, and also all big ones, and some going for 31, 32 years, one for 35 years. The Congo, think of that. The Congo and Rwanda for 35 years. I got that one done. I got them all done, but this one is the one.
I'm sorry. It is the Republic of Condo. I don't know if you guys heard that one, but Donald Trump actually called it the Republic of Condo. You know, real estate mind. Can't help himself. Thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate you. Fuck you. Oh, you're going to kill me at the same time. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
That is the most difficult, and I thought it would be an easy one. So I hope President Putin is going to be good, and if he's not, it's going to be a rough situation. And I hope that Zelensky.
Okay, so at what point does it start becoming a rough situation? At what point do you realize that you've been had, that you've been duped, that you're being played, that you're a fucking pawn in Vladimir Putin's game that he's playing? At what point do you realize that? Because at some points it seems like you realize he's playing you and then just goes on to kill people. And then you get moments like this where it's like, well, what the fuck just happened? Because it seemed like you realized that Vladimir Putin was talking nothing but bullshit, but now you're not calling for a ceasefire. You're willing to give him Crimea, talking about no fucking NATO for Ukraine, talking about how it's back on Volodymyr Zelensky to end this and that, you know, Ukraine should have never started this war. Like, so what the fuck do you actually think? What are we actually calling for here?
He has to show some flexibility also. The thing is a mess. This was started by Joe Biden.
Thank you, Pam.
This was a war that should have never
here we
happened.
go. Can't tie his shoes. Well, can't tie his shoes anyway, but can't have somebody else tie his shoes for him without thinking about Joe Biden.
Millions of people are dead. The country's blown to pieces, Ukraine, and it's a shame.
The country is not blown to pieces. It's not blown to pieces.
And, you know, my wife Melania wrote that beautiful note to President
Oh,
Putin.
and I loved that Zelensky kept bringing up Melania, like little fucking jabs. Like here's a little fucking note for Melania, here's a letter for Melania, and thank Melania for. I love that he kept bringing it up to try. It was great.
The children are devastated. They're taken away from their homes. The whole thing. And this is a war that would have never, ever, ever happened if we had a real president.
So, Mr. President, it's been barely a week since you announced that first meeting in Alaska, and it's just been days since that meeting, and then you had the meeting yesterday. In the course of having these negotiations, what has surprised you the most between Zelensky and Putin in terms of their strength or weakness of their position right now?
Well, I think the fact that maybe they're getting along a little bit better than I thought. Otherwise, I wouldn't have set up the 2 meeting. I would have set up.
They haven't fucking talked. You kept Zelensky out of the fucking meeting with Vladimir Putin. What are you talking about? The same way that the Allies kept fucking Czechoslovakia out of the fucking meeting that ceded the Sudetenland to Hitler and the Nazis. Again, same fucking mistakes being made. Same fucking mistakes being made. Same sort of built up territory and terrain that is used and has been used by Ukraine, poured fucking vast amounts of money into. And now we're just trying to give that area away. Again, without hearing any specific security guarantees to make sure something like this doesn't happen in the fucking future. It's unreal. Oh, thank you, Max. Let's fucking go. For a scoop with the shovel. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Max Speedle. Let's fucking go.
3, try that. But I think they're doing a little bit better. There's been tremendous bad blood. And again, this was all worked out by an administration that didn't have a clue. And if you remember, they said, well, if you made a minor incursion, that would be okay. That was the end.
Reminder that it was Joe Biden's administration that had previously warned Ukraine of Russia's intentions on their full-scale invasion when everybody else thought it was just kind of like a fucking, a show of force and they weren't actually going to go in. It was Joe Biden's administration that was like, no, they're going. They're going. They're coming. Like, just be ready. So in case you're wondering.
The whole thing when Biden made that statement, but minor incursion, what does that mean? So I think they're doing okay. I wouldn't say they are ever going to be best friends, but they're doing okay. And we're just going to see. So we're setting up
a fucking childish way to talk about it.
Meeting. I sort of set it up with Putin and Zelensky. And, they're the ones that have to call the shots. We're 7,000 miles away, in all fairness. We spent through the previous administration $350 billion. Europe.
No, we fucking didn't.
Has spent a lot, also $100 billion, but it should be reversed if we should have been in for anything. But it wouldn't have happened, so that would have been much better because so many people died. This is the biggest bad situation since World War II.
This is the biggest bad situation since World War II. Now, I just don't know if that's going to have the same fucking ring, the same effect to it in the documentaries that are going to be fucking made about this time in 50 years, 40, 50 years. As, say, I don't know, like an FDR type statement or a Churchill type statement. I'm not sure if fucking what did he say? It's so dumb. I can't remember. What did he say? Hold on.
This is the biggest bad situation since World War II.
This is the biggest bad situation since World War II. And fucking God help us because we have this guy in charge of our country at this time.
Nothing even close.
So, Mr. President, I know you've been doing deals your entire life when it comes to real estate's deal, but this was something a little different. The thing that is surprising a lot of people is when it comes to the security guarantees. I know President.
Okay, all right, security guarantees. Let's go. What are the security guarantees? Hit me. What are these security guarantees?
Putin said no NATO, and you said, we're just going to take that off the table. But you did get President Putin to agree to NATO-like protections. So tell us about that. What does that entail?
Please do.
Well, the war really started over NATO and Crimea.
Okay, again, Russian propaganda talking points that this war started because of NATO. Direct from the fucking Kremlin talking points that Vladimir Putin himself uses to justify his actions in his fucking incursion, his fucking invasion of Ukraine.
And they wanted Crimea back. That was given, not a shot fired by President Obama in perhaps the worst real estate deal I've ever seen. There's been a couple of them. I would say the Gaza Strip was a pretty bad one, too. And
nobody gives him any credit for this. Again, in the one fucking opportunity that Obama had where he chose not to fucking use military force.
Israel, so they'd have peace. So they gave away a big percentage of their oceanfront property in order to have peace. How did that work?
Again, calling it oceanfront property is incredibly disrespectful. It just goes to show he fucking is heartless, careless, fucking has no empathy or compassion towards anybody in these fucking areas.
Yeah, not so good. And Crimea is the apple of Ukraine. I mean, it's so beautiful. And Obama gave it away. Nobody ever mentions that. If I ever did that, the fake news they would be writing about me day and night.
You're quite literally trying to do that to other parts of Ukraine's territory as we speak. And you're quite literally justifying not getting back Crimea. The bad deal that you're saying Obama made, you're now justifying the fact that Ukraine will never get that back. So again, you're piggybacking on the fact that you're trying to shame Obama for his policies as pertains to Ukraine, Russia and Putin at this time. But you're defending the fact that Russia should hold on to its territory in Crimea while also saying that Ukraine shouldn't be allowed into NATO. I'm confused on exactly where this fucking guy stands. And I think he's confused as well.
For years, he gave it away. He demanded that they let it go. And Russia came in and took it, just took it like from a candy from a baby. And it was really Obama's, not really. I mean, that was pure and simple.
It's obviously, it was a little more detailed, a little more involved than just that.
Obama's fault. What a terrible thing he did to that country. And so they lost their heart. They lost the heart and soul of the Ukraine 14.
They didn't lose their heart or their soul. What they did was they lost a part of their territory that, again, just strengthened their resolve, strengthened their resilience in fighting off the Russian horde and making sure that they stand firm in fighting for the rest of their sovereign independent territory.
years ago, whatever it might be. And it was so unnecessary to do that. And that's when it
Right. So notice how he talks good about Putin, good about Viktor Orban, while also shaming Ukraine, shaming Zelensky, and shaming the United States and our past presidents. But again, talking good about Vladimir Putin, making sure that Putin gets everything he wants.
really began when Obama gave it away. And then you had a lot of other events, but you have, tremendous hostility. The people of Ukraine were mortified when that took place. That really began a lot of hatred when they gave it. And they didn't have to. Not a shot was fired. They just took over the most valuable piece and the biggest piece, in a sense.
I'm sorry. Does he not know about the revolution on Maidan Square? Does he not know about the resistance and the anger that we saw stem from these actions? And again, I have no problem calling out Barack Obama's actions or lack thereof, or his ability again to stop Russia from taking Crimea. I'm not giving him anything. But then again, Donald Trump here is just going above and beyond and saying that Russia has, I guess, the rights to it in perpetuity, the rights to it, forever because of that bad deal, and that we should again agree upon the fact that Ukraine should never be allowed into NATO, that they should have to give up the rest of the Donbass. The shit is basically just a list of what Vladimir Putin wants. And that's what Donald Trump is calling for. Again, I've seen nothing saying get every fucking Russian out of Ukraine. I've seen nothing saying give back every fucking inch of territory that you stole illegally through your territorial expansion. I haven't seen any of that. Again, he's already fucking done away with calling for a ceasefire.
But surrounded on four sides by ocean, just a little passage to get you back onto the mainland. The most beautiful piece of property you've ever seen as a real estate developer. I look at it. I said, why the heck did he do that to them? And so there's great hostility, and maybe rightfully so. But one thing was NATO.
Rightfully, you hear that? That's there's a lot of hostility, and maybe rightfully so. So he's justifying on both sides, again, how he started off this conversation with Russian propaganda, talking about how it was NATO's fucking incursion, to the east that really fucking started this war. And, basically Vladimir Putin had no choice but to defend himself. No choice but to defend himself and, strike west in order to, give more separation between him and NATO states and NATO countries. I mean, this is literally fucking Kremlin, one for one, straight out of the Kremlin fucking playbook, Russian talking points being fucking displayed and talked and fucking regurgitated by the United States president.
They went in, they said, we want you, we want to get Crimea back. This was at the beginning. Now, Putin, in all fairness to him, he made a good deal. He got it.
Thank you, Claudia.
But they said, we want it back. And that was not exactly well received because it was like 12 years before. That's where Russia has its submarine base. And, that's been there long before Putin. They've been there for a long time, but long before Putin. And the other thing they said is we want to be a member of NATO. Well, both of those things are impossible because, again, long before Putin, it was a no-no by Russia or the Soviet Union or anything you want to call it. Sort of a similar thing as it gets larger, but very similar. But it was always a no-no. You could not.
So because the Soviet Union and followed by Russia has always said that Ukraine can't join NATO. That's why Donald Trump is now saying that is, of course, off the table. Listen to this. He's literally saying it's because and only because that the fucking Soviet Union followed by Russia are the ones that have been saying that Ukraine can't join NATO is the reason that Ukraine can't join NATO. It says it right here.
But they said we want it back, and that was not exactly well received because it was like 12 years before. That's where Russia has its submarine base, and, that's been there long before Putin. They've been there for a long time, but long before Putin. And the other thing they said is we want to be a member of NATO. Well, both of those things are impossible.
Both of those things are impossible. Now, listen to why he goes on to explain that Ukraine joining NATO is impossible.
Because, again, long before Putin, it was a no-no by Russia or the Soviet Union or anything you want to call it. Sort of a similar thing as it gets larger, but very similar. But it was always a no-no. You could not. Russia said we don't want the so-called opponent or the enemy, let's use that term, we don't want them on our border.
Well, guess what? As Ukrainians and as allies to Ukraine, we don't want the fucking enemy on our territory. How about we think of that? How about that, you motherfucker? How about instead of just on your doorstep, how about just on your fucking front lawn? How about in your fucking kitchen? How about banging your wife and stealing your kids? How about that? So if you're going to get, again, he's literally just using Russia's justification for this war, Russia's justification calling for, Ukraine never to be able to join NATO as the outright reason why that the United States and why Ukraine can't expect these fucking policies to come out of this negotiation. Because Russia said so. Because it's been the policy of the USSR, it's been the policy of Putin, and it's been the policy of Russia. That's why it's not possible. No other reason given. No fucking geographical reason, no political reason given. No military reason given. Just because Putin and Russia said so. That's literally what he just said.
They were right. They were okay. And yet they went in and they asked with the United States. They said, put us into NATO. And everybody knew you just can't do that. They would never have agreed to it. This is before Putin. This is long before Putin.
Who gives a fuck what Vladimir Putin and Russia agree to? They have absolutely no say in what a sovereign fucking country does as it pertains to their defense of their sovereign fucking territory. And what security, apparatus they fucking join. What are we talking about here?
It was just a no-no. It was something that was never going to happen. So they asked for it.
No, the reasons it was never going to happen were very fucking specific. The fact that they were currently a country at war. B, they have serious problems with corruption that they needed to tend to. And C and D and E, there was a list of fucking other smaller issues that the country needed to fucking make sure that they got in line before they were eligible for NATO membership. So it wasn't something that people were saying they were never eligible for it. It was shit saying, well, they're currently at war and there's other shit in their government that they need to fix before we take a serious look at, adding them into NATO. That's something that we've all known. That's something that's been widely reported. This whole thing that fucking Ukraine can never join NATO is something very new because Donald Trump is now just reporting the fact that it's a Kremlin talking point, that it's Russian propaganda to say that this war started because of NATO and that it's only because Russia says no that Ukraine inevitably can't join NATO ever.
And they shouldn't have asked for it because it was, very insulting thing. Now, they could have asked for many other.
He just said it was insulting of Ukraine to ask for NATO membership. That's what he just said. Because Russia has said no, it was insulting of Ukraine to ask for NATO membership. The president of the United States just said. Did you catch that one? Check it out. Ready? It was insulting, he said.
Putin, it was just a no-no. It was something that was never going to happen. So they asked for it, and they shouldn't have asked for it because it was, very insulting thing. Now, they could have asked for many other things. But the other thing they wanted to do is getting Crimea back, and, that was given. They had built, they were expanding everything and spending a lot of money. All because...
Oh, you mean like how the Ukrainians did in the eastern part of the Donbass? You mean how they've spent millions building up fortifications and using the natural terrain in the area to as a barrier against Russia? And that's what you're set to give away, kind of like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Barack Hussein Obama gave it away in one of the dumbest real estate deals I've ever seen.
And again, if it's so fucking dumb, why are we not fighting to get that back? If it was something that was so fucking egregiously wrong, why are we not trying to fight and right those wrongs? Again, stupid question to ask of Donald Trump, but shouldn't that be something as the United States, if we really thought that we should be trying to fucking fix?
But Mr. President, you got the Article 5 protections though for Ukraine, so they're not going to be a part of NATO, but you still got them the same protections.
So they're not going to be a part of NATO, but we've got the European nations, and they'll front load it, and they'll have some of them, France and Germany, a couple of them, UK. They want to have boots on the ground. Not in. I don't think it's going to be a problem, to be honest with you. I think Putin is tired of it. I think they're all tired of it. But you never know.
Putin's the one conducting this war. What the fuck are you talking about? He's still the one perpetrating this war on a fucking daily basis. If he was sick of it, he'd stop. And the fact that he's just kind of fucking whitewashing and glancing over the fact that these European fucking leaders are actually calling for boots on the ground for security guarantees. Like, that's what it's going to fucking consist of. That's what it's going to take. It's European boots on the ground to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And Donald Trump saying, oh, don't worry about it. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. Listen to this.
I don't think it's going to be a problem, to be honest with you. I think Putin is tired of it. I think they're all tired of it, but you never know. We're going to find out about President Putin in the next couple of weeks. That I can tell you. And
okay, so there it is. Another couple weeks that he's given Vladimir Putin, on top of the 50-day pause, on top of the 2-week pause, on top of the 6-week pause, on top of the 10-day pause, on top of the 10-day pause, on top of the 10-day pause, on top of the 12-day pause. So another 2 weeks he gets to just fucking either reload, rearm, continue his assaults, continue his killings of Ukrainian civilians on a nightly basis. But he's going to pause so that we can figure out where his head's at, apparently. This far into this conflict, Donald Trump's still trying to figure out where Vladimir Putin's head's at.
we're going to see where it all goes. It's possible that he doesn't want to make a deal. I always said, you interviewed me, Lawrence, and I think Charlie also. Lawrence, I hate to tell you, Charlie was about the first person in the world.
And the next question by these fucking reporters should be, okay, so in the case that you figure out that Vladimir Putin does not inevitably want to make a deal, is not in this to make peace, what happens then? What is the next position? What is the next action of the United States and its allies if we come to the fucking final realization as an administration that Vladimir Putin isn't actually negotiating in good faith? That should be the next fucking question. But they're obviously not going to ask that because they're fucking losers.
To endorse me. He endorsed me about a year before I ran. And that's why he called me this morning, sir, would you do an interview? And unlike Biden, I don't need permission from my staff, okay? And then only to be told that I'm not doing it. But Charlie endorsed me about a year before, I think, and he puts it up on his site. It's still not checked. It's still on his site. I endorsed President Trump before he even ran. So I always like a guy like that, I must tell you, Now, Lawrence is going to be a superstar, but he was a little later to the game. Well,
it's a lot more crowded these days than it was back then.
It's pretty
but Mr.
crowded.
President, what kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that?
Okay, what assurances does he have that it won't be American boots on the ground? Okay, take it away, Prez.
Border.
Well, you have my assurance, I'm president, and I'm just trying to stop people from being killed, Charlie. Look, they're losing from 5,000 to 7,000 people a week in that ridiculous war.
More.
That should have never happened. If we had a normal president, not even a great president, if we had a normal president, it wouldn't have happened. But we had a guy that didn't have a clue. And they're losing, think of it, 5,000 to 7,000 a week. So even these guys, they'll say, okay, let's meet next week. I said, you can't meet next week. Next week, you're going to have 7,000 more dead people. You quite literally just gave Vladimir Putin 2 more weeks. You just said, we'll figure out what Vladimir Putin is thinking in a couple weeks. You quite literally just gave him 2 more weeks. And now he's talking about how, wow, like he fucking, Jesus Christ. You can't do that. You got to get this thing done. One of the things at the table was one of the gentlemen, who's a great guy, but he said, I hope I didn't insult him. He said, well, let's meet in another month or two, and let's see if we can start, making some. I said, a month or two, you're going to have another 40,000 people dead.
But a month or two, by then, Donald Trump will already have given and broken fucking at least 10 more deadlines set for Vladimir Putin in Russia. A month or two. Shit.
A month or two. You have to do it tonight. And I did, actually. I called President
So then
Putin.
What are you giving Putin a fucking another 2 weeks for? How about demand upon him now, a ceasefire right now, and then you can see where his fucking head's at. Oh my God. It shouldn't be this difficult to wield power. It shouldn't be this difficult to use the fucking power that the United States has to fucking enact some sort of action or reaction from Vladimir Putin. It is not difficult. Everybody in the world sees where Vladimir Putin's head's at, except for Donald Trump, apparently. It's fucking remarkable just to hear him talk about how many people are going to be dead in a week, while then going on to give Vladimir Putin another 2 weeks to determine where his head's at.
And we're trying to work out a meeting with President Zelensky. We'll see what happens there. And then if it works out, then I'll go to the trilat and close it up.
Oh, that'd be good. Mr. President, did y'all discuss any land swaps yesterday? Because we've talked a lot about the Donbass region. And what was the feeling in the room? What did the other leaders say about this?
Well, they understand. Look, everybody can play cute and this and that, but Ukraine's going to get their life back. They're going to stop having people killed all over the place, and they're going to get a lot of land. But this was.
Wait a minute. They're going to get a lot of land. What does that mean? What does that mean? Ukraine's going to get their life back, and they're going to get a lot of land. What land?
A war, and Russia is.
It was their land that was taken.
A powerful military nation, whether people like it or not. It's a powerful nation. It's a much bigger nation. It's not a war that should have been started. You don't do that. You don't take on a nation that's 10 times your size and
and there it is. And there it is right there, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were wondering when it was going to come in, where Donald Trump once again blames Ukraine for starting this war. That was it right there. Donald Trump says, stupid of Ukraine to start a war with somebody 10 times the size. Check this out.
A much bigger nation. It's not a war that should have been started. You don't do that. You don't take on a nation that's 10 times your size and, military experts look, if it wasn't for.
You don't take on a nation that's 10 times your size. Well, guess what? Well, guess fucking what? They didn't. They didn't take on a nation 10 times their size. They were attacked. They were invaded by a nation 10 times their size, whatever you want to fucking call it. Unfortunately for Russia, they got about fucking half the military. They got about half the fucking actual fucking soldiers, regardless of how many fucking millions of people they have. They're just fucking conscripts. They're just untrained people that are being thrown into the meat grinder, whereas Ukraine seemingly has soldiers, people willing to fucking die and sacrifice themselves for their homeland, people that actually have military knowledge and experience on the fucking battlefield, right? But for this asshole to be sitting here doing this shit, to be talking about how, oh, it's Ukraine's fault for doing this and it's stupid of Ukraine to even take on it. They didn't take them on. They're defending their homeland. They're actively fucking engaged in self-defense. They didn't ask for this. They didn't call for this. And it's egregiously fucking ignorant to even put it in terms like this.
The greatest military equipment. We make the greatest military equipment in the world. And we gave them... whatever. They took probably a lot of money too, but they got.
And what does that mean? They took a lot of money too.
Tremendous. They had the Patriot missile, which is the best in the world. All the equipment, we make the best equipment in the world by far. Everyone else is like nothing. So we gave them a lot of equipment.
And everybody else is like nothing. I got news for you. There's a lot of fucking countries in the world that make fantastic military equipment and have done for several fucking decades now.
Now, with that said, the Ukrainian soldiers were brave as hell because they're fighting a force that's much, much bigger and in theory, much more powerful.
You can hear the fucking Fox News assholes trying to cut in here, but Adderall Donnie apparently just got on his kick. His fucking drip just got down the back of his throat, so he's on one now.
And, it's not like they've stopped. I assume you've all seen the map. A big chunk of territory is taken, and that territory has been taken. Now, they're talking about Donbass, but Donbass... Right.
So that right there, that statement right there from Donald Trump tells me that he is not willing to get back any of the territory currently under occupation by Russian forces. Listen to this.
It's not like they've stopped. I assume you've all seen the map. A big chunk of territory is taken, and that territory has been taken. Now they're talking. A
big chunk of territory has been taken, and that territory has been taken. Right? A ridiculous, childish statement, maybe fucking something meaningless in the bigger context of somebody maybe not paying attention to this shit. But that right there tells me right off the bat and very fucking definitively that Donald Trump is not willing to fight to give back any of the territory illegally taken through territorial expansionism by a dictatorial fucking genocidal madman in Vladimir Putin. One more time.
It's not like they've stopped. I assume you've all seen the map. A big chunk of territory is taken, and that territory has been taken. Now they're talking.
That's basically like saying, don't ask for it back. That's taken. It's gone. We can forget about it. Let's move on to something else. That's kind of what I'm getting from that statement. That's what I'm getting from that fucking sentence right there. Having covered Donald Trump for nearly fucking 10 years or more now, having listened to fucking more of Donald Trump's speeches and rhetoric and interview and fucking rallies than most people on the face of this fucking planet, I can tell you that's what I'm getting from that statement right there. Using my fucking expertise in this matter, that's what I'm getting from there. He's basically saying, forget about it. The 20% taken by fucking Russia is gone. Let's see what else we can give them and see if we can get me a Nobel Peace Prize.
talking about Donbass, but Donbass right now, as you know, is 79% owned and controlled by Russia. So
fucking percentage-wise, that's bullshit. Percentage-wise, that is fucking bullshit. Let's see here. Percentage. I'm not saying it's a low percentage, but I don't think held. Excuse me. Let's see here. Russia controls roughly 18% of Ukraine's territory. Let's see here. See if it tells me the areas of control more specifically. Let's see if this brings it up here. Just trying to see if I can get a more accurate depiction of how much of the, I think Luhansk, they control roughly 100% of, and I think the Donetsk is more along the lines of like 60-ish%, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. Something around 60 to 65% of it, something like that. But it's definitely not as high as 80% as Donald Trump wants you to believe. But, fact check me in the chat. Let me know what you guys come out with, please.
They understand what that
means. But Mr.
means.
President, what did the other leaders tell you? Because it seemed to be, this is unlike the first Trump term. There was great unity that was there, and we saw their public comments. But when you got them in the Oval Office, and we have this photo of you sitting at the Resolute desk, and all of these world leaders are sitting in front of you. What did they say to you privately? Because it looked like they're on the same page as you, sir.
The same thing they said publicly, the same thing that fucking dignitaries and heads of state all to say. It was a great discussion. We're looking to move this forward. Fucking MERS seemed to be the only one calling for Donald Trump to put more pressure on Russia to call for a ceasefire. This is what fucking you kind of expected from this meeting. Nothing definitive. People talking as heads of state talk, saying, yes, great talks, great meetings. Thank you for your support. We appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yep. Well, next time. I mean, that's kind of what you fucking expected. So I don't what he's trying to like emphasize in this situation. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, they are. They're very good people. They're very good leaders of their countries, and they want to get back to leading their country.
No, they want to make sure that they don't themselves, as the country and heads of their country, have to worry about the same thing that Ukraine's worried about in dealing with right now, which is the fucking Russian horde, the Russian military knocking on their fucking front door, trying to steal all of their possessions and fucking rape their women. That's what they're hoping not to deal with, which is why we see the added fucking what do you want to call it? Investments into their security as it pertains to NATO and the EU, right? Now that they understand the threat, the direct threat that they're under, and the fact that Donald Trump isn't going to step up to stop Vladimir Putin directly, they now know that they have to do more to assist themselves and defend themselves and make themselves more self-sustainable, right? Without the help of the United States.
Assumed far more with this than we are, because they're right there. We have an ocean that's separating us, right? Thing called.
What a fucking weak, pussy-ass bitch thing to say. What a beta little bitch thing to say. We don't have to worry about it because we have an ocean. Oh, do you have an ocean, big fucking tough guy? Well, guess what? They got missiles and planes that'll fucking, ocean. Can make short work of those oceans, just to let you know. If somebody wants to.
They have to.
Hold on.
That's a different.
And it's amazing to me that you keep relying on this, Mr. fucking Alpha Man, Mr. Beta Bitch here, as a reason why you don't have to act like a man, why you don't have to fucking uphold democracy around the world as the leader of the fucking free world. Why it gives you some excuse to just sit on your fucking tiny little hands with your thumb up your ass doing absolutely fucking jack shit with your tiny little fucking hands.
Referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. He referred to my... For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands. For the rest of my life, I have...
I love that. I love those ones. Fucking, keep your fucking small mitts and small paws off of this. How about that?
Kind of a thing for them. When it comes to security, they're willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you could talk about by air, because there's nobody has.
So I'm just asking, throughout this interview that we've listened to so far, has anybody heard any specific security guarantees? Has anybody heard any specific plans put in place of security guarantees moving forward to ensure Ukraine's safety going forward? Has anybody? I know we've heard that Europe wants to put boots on the ground and they expect to have to put boots on the ground. But has anybody agreed to that? Is that something set in stone? What are we talking about here? Because I haven't heard a fucking an answer yet that is definitive. Anything that has come from this, anything agreed upon.
The stuff we have, really, they don't have. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if a deal is made, famous last words, right? But I think if a deal is made, I think Russia's had it. They've all had it. And for a very extended period of time, I don't think there'll be a problem. But there'll be some form of security. It can't be NATO because that's just not something that would ever happen. He couldn't.
And again, completely doing the work of Vladimir Putin, completely doing the work of Russia in calling outright for no NATO. Right off the bat, ruling it out. This is just not how negotiations go, right? You don't just come out and start knocking things off the table yourself. Like, you put everything on the table and you wait for the other guy to knock it off. You discuss, like, if fucking you go back and like, it's the guy that claims to be the fucking man that wrote the Art of the Deal, and the fact that he has absolutely no clue what he's doing as it pertains to negotiations or fucking leverage or being an actual man is hilarious, is a fucking very, very fucking funny hypocrisy to the story.
They couldn't do that. So who would want that? I mean, if you were Russia, who would want to have your enemy, your opponent, sitting on your line? You don't do that.
Again, thinking about what Russia wants, thinking about what Russia would feel, how they would feel, as opposed to the country that's been attacked by Russia. See how that works? See how this fucking, if he does show some sort of empathy, sympathy towards the fucking, it's on the side of the Russians.
So it was always thought that Ukraine was sort of a buffer between Russia and the rest of Europe. And it was a big, wide buffer. Everything worked out well until Biden got involved.
It wasn't a buffer. It was a state that was actively trying to clean itself up in order to get itself included into the security fucking alliance of NATO. It wasn't a buffer. Russia wanted it to be a buffer. Again, more Russian propaganda, more Russian talking points that Ukraine should be used as a buffer between Russia and NATO states. Because I can guarantee you, nobody in fucking Ukraine is going around saying, hey, we should be a buffer between fucking Russia and NATO states. Volodymyr Zelensky isn't coming out and saying, hey, what Ukraine wants is for us to be a buffer between Russia and NATO states. No, they're saying we want to be part of NATO. We want security guarantees from the rest of Europe that they will step up in the fucking the event that Russia decides to do this again.
Biden gave them $100 billion right up front. I don't give them anything. I don't know if you know it, but since I've been there, we don't pay. First of all, I made a deal to take rare earth. That's the equivalent of much more than the $350 billion that Biden got away, because I felt so foolish. It was so stupid what he did. And I was able to make a deal with Ukraine, and they were very nice. They have great rare earth, among the best in the world. And we took much more than the $350 billion, and they were,
again, bragging about profiting from war, bragging about war profiteering. I don't know what deal he's talking about. I don't know if he's talking about the deal that that was proposed to Vladimir Putin for the rare earth minerals inside of the occupied territories in Ukraine, the one that we heard the Telegraph report, along with the lifting of aviation sanctions on Russian aviation industries, as well as opening it up some sort of a route to suck out the natural resources from Alaska and ship them straight to fucking Moscow.
Great about it. So we got that, handled. But now we don't pay.
And just so you got, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody that's contributing to the show, that's sending Venmos. I'm going to recognize everybody. I see them coming into my phone. I see the super chats. I see the gifts. I see the membership milestones. I will make sure to recognize all of you fantabulous fucking people at the end of the show. So please, if you're in the position to do so, the financial position, please think about busting a buck and trying your luck and supporting some independent media, some true independent media that's trying to give you the facts as we see them here on the ground as everyday working class American citizens. Please, I would very much implore you to if you're in the position to do so, think about contributing financially to the show and helping us grow. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Any money to Ukraine, they buy through NATO, because I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%, 2% when they didn't pay, 2% of GDP, 2% when they didn't pay, and 5% now they do pay. So it's trillions of dollars. So what we do is we make the equipment, the military equipment, and sell it at a full price we sell it to the NATO. We sell it to NATO, and NATO pays us immediately, and that's the way it's working. And then NATO takes it and does what they want with it because they.
Oh, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Teague. I appreciate you guys. I really, really do. I mean, it means so much, and I wish I could implore upon you how important it is for you guys to, if again you're in the position to do so without taking away from your quality of life in some other aspect, to contribute to. And again, if it's not my show that gives you the most bang for your buck and most entertainment, if it's Hal, if it's Jesse Dollamore, if it's David Pacman, if it's Midas Touch, then think about, if you're in the position to do so, financially contributing to those channels. Because again, it goes a long, long way in helping these channels stay consistent, continue growing, and gaining some traction in this what is a really tough space to gain traction in. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I really do.
Really have the right to do what they want with it, but for the most part, they give it to Ukraine.
So President Trump,
so we're not losing. We're not like we were with Biden, where we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars out. We're paying nothing.
President Trump, during the meeting yesterday, when you decided to call Vladimir Putin, what was the reaction among the other people in the room, and what was President Putin's reaction to being brought into a phone call in the middle of your meeting?
Well, I think they expected it. I didn't do it in front of them. I thought that would be disrespectful to President Putin. I wouldn't do that because they have not had the warmest relations. And actually, President Putin wouldn't talk to the people from Europe. I mean, that was part of the problem. They had no communication. They had no communication with the White House for years, as people died. Years with Biden and his people. No communication.
Right, because they showed absolutely no signs. They had absolutely nothing to give, nothing to fucking do other than stop the war, which clearly they were not being, that was not on the table. That was not a deal being fucking put forward by Russia, right? So what talking are we going to do? There is no talking. You stop killing, and then we can talk. How about that? And until that moment, we're going to continue to supply Ukraine with all of the fucking weapons they need, both defensive and offensive, in order to take out every single one of your soldiers until you stop. That was our fucking policy. That was our stance until this, Russian-loving fucking Putin bitch decided to get into office for the second time.
Putin told me years. It was years that he didn't speak to anybody from the White House, and it was a long time that he didn't speak to anybody from Europe. No, it's a fractured relationship. And when I came in, I always had, despite the Russia hoax, which truly was a very dangerous thing for our country, but despite that, I maintained a very good relationship. I mean, you saw that when he got off his plane, I got off my plane. There's a warmth there that you can't. There's a decent feeling, and it's a good thing, not a bad thing. People say,
there you go. That's it. There's the warmth there between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Can't you see it, ladies and gentlemen? Can't you see it both in the way they shake hands and the way they greet each other, and in the way that Donald Trump speaks? There's a warmth there. They like each other.
Oh, that's such a terrible thing. It's not a terrible thing. You know what? We've got the most nuclear weapons in the world, and the most powerful. He's got second.
So can you describe for us how that happened? Did you just announce that you were going to go into the other room to make the phone call, and then you got up and left, and then came back?
I think they sort of knew. I was at the end of the meeting. I was going to call President Putin, and President Putin expected it, and he was there. Now, by the time I called him, it was 1:00 in the morning in Russia. Russia's a big place. They have 11 time zones, I believe, 9 or 11, but I think it's 11.
But
think
Mr.
of it,
President,
11 time zones. That's a lot of time zones. So it was late. It was like 1:00 in the morning, but he picked it up very happily. Sure, he works very hard, like we all do.
He had just got off his horse. He had been riding his horse with no shirt on for the last 2 hours. It sounded to me like he was being spanked by some of his fucking Secret Service guards in the background, but he did answer.
And we had a very good call. And I told him that we're going to set up a meeting with President Zelensky, and you and he.
And immediately Sergei Lavrov went on Russian state media to say that, no, just fucking back it down, slow it down a little bit. This is not something that Russia is automatically agreeing to. If it's going to be done, it's going to be done through the necessary steps, through the necessary processes, as we reported on earlier in the show. But fuck, we're running out of time here, too. Damn, I hate how much there is to cover and how I have so much to say. But I did want to show this. Because obviously this has been a big story, something that we've been covering pretty closely over the last several months here on the show. But I did want to show just a little bit of the growing frustration, albeit, I will say, in my opinion, a little bit too little too late but Israel's growing frustration over the war in Gaza erupts in nationwide protest. Tens of thousands of people packed the streets of Tel Aviv on Sunday to show support for families of hostages still being held in Gaza. The demonstrators called for an end to the conflict and for a deal to be agreed to bring the remaining captives home in one large protest, in one of the largest protests in 22 months of the war. This was Israeli protesters demanding a free to Gaza hostages in Gaza attempted to shut down the country Sunday in one of the largest and fiercest protests in 22 months. Organizers representing the families of hostages asserted that hundreds of thousands of people took part. Frustration is growing in Israel over the plans for a new military offensive in some of Gaza's most populated areas. Many Israelis fear that could further endanger the remaining hostages. 20 of the 50 who remain are believed to be alive. Quote, we live between a terrorist organization that holds our children and government that refuses to release them for political reasons. Again, I just want to kind of illustrate, because I know there is a sense now of people kind of grouping everybody in Israel together with the policies of the government, which is something that, we have to continue to refrain to do, because, as we look upon the way the world looks at America, would like them to be able to separate us from Donald Trump and Donald Trump's policies, again, that his regime is putting in place. But that being said, I have seen time and time again, example after example of the Israeli population failing to step up and meet the moment, failing to call for the appropriate action. I have seen, again, video after video after video after video calling for the outright eradication of the Palestinian people. We've showed the Israeli settlers standing and sitting in front of aid trucks, not allowing them to get into Gaza to feed a starving population. And again, this is long overdue, too little, too late in my eyes. And until something drastic, until something radical is done by the people of Israel, as it pertains to their government and Benjamin Netanyahu in particular, then, the eyes of the world will continue to be upon them and will continue to demand answers and will continue to demand action from them. And I think justifiably so, rightfully so. Because the horrors that we have seen and continue to see in and around Gaza, perpetrated by the IDF, perpetrated by the Israeli government, is beyond horrific at this point. See here if there's anything new. Israel eliminates. Oh, there was this one too. There was this one. I don't know if you saw this one. Let's see here. Play this one. Just get into a couple quick stories before I let you go here. There was this that I wanted to highlight as well. This is a story from The Independent. Doesn't matter now if there are children. Ex-IDF chief said 50 Palestinian deaths for every 7 October victim was necessary. So you can see here the former head of military intelligence for the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, called for the death of 50,000 Palestinians in Gaza, necessary and required for future generations, in leaked audio. Ahron Haliva can be heard in newly released audio clips saying that for every person who died during the October 7th attack, 50 Palestinians must die, even if they are children. The audio clips were aired by Israeli broadcaster Channel 12. The fact that there are already 50,000 dead in Gaza is necessary and required for future generations. Okay, you humiliated, you slaughtered, you murdered. Everything is true, said the former military chief. It is unclear when the statements were made, but Gaza's health ministry has recently reported that more than 62,000 Palestinians have been killed since 7 October 2023, when Hamas launched an attack on southern Israel that resulted in the deaths of 1,200 people. So again, just more evidence to add to the pile to suggest that these government officials, even former and active government officials, have nothing but fucking genocidal intent. And it doesn't matter who they have to kill. Doesn't matter who stands in their way. Doesn't matter if they're old, young, if they're involved, not involved, starving, not starving. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So good to see the Israeli population standing up against what is reported to believe the Israeli government's new policy or plan to occupy certain areas now. But again, to me, in my opinion, seemingly a little too late, and they will continue to be judged by their action or lack thereof in this, and to their government. You know what I mean? So the way that we are standing up against Donald Trump, standing up to Donald Trump, the way that we are protesting and continue to do so, is an example of us not fucking allowing, in the way that we have been since he fucking first got into office, is an example of us not allowing this bullshit to happen, of us not sitting on the sidelines while this shit happens, right? I know we can only affect so much change, but when the acts are that egregious, and when the consequences and the amount of people starving and dying are that high, then drastic action is needed. Drastic action needs to be taken. So, and then this was just before I get you out of here, before I start thanking everybody for their contributions, either on Venmo, PayPal. We also do have a PayPal, just in case. I don't know if anybody has PayPal, but there's also nope, that's the same thing. There was a PayPal. Oh, there it is right there. Just in case anybody has PayPal instead of Venmo. And again, I only say and use these because they are the most direct ways to get your contribution to where it's going. Otherwise, YouTube takes a piece, Twitch takes a piece, all these other platforms take a piece, and then they take their sweet ass time in sending you that money. Whereas PayPal and Venmo is instant, it's direct, they take no cuts. And that's the only reason I kind of like to highlight those. But yeah, let me see if I can pull this up on the screen real quick. This is new from the Lincoln Project, and thank you to Tiff for sending me this. I really do appreciate it. Let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys. Let's do this so you can see the whole thing, and I just want to see what they're coming out with now. I think this is just a new video by the Lincoln Project saying thanks, Don. Let's see.
A special message from America's drug dealers, child sex traffickers, and serial killers. We would like to thank Republicans like Senator John Cornyn for all of their help. Every day we have FBI agents trying to catch us and bring us to justice. Now Republicans have decided to send the FBI after Texas state lawmakers. That's fewer FBI agents we need to worry about. It's an early Christmas gift from the Republicans. We can now spend more time selling drugs, trafficking children, and murdering the innocent, and less time avoiding the FBI. It takes a special kind of person to stand with us and help make our lives easier. We'll all be voting Republican. From the bottom of our drug-dealing, sex trafficker, murdering hearts, we thank you.
Very poignant by the Lincoln Project, doing some great work. I like those short clips. Midas Touch used to do a ton of those little short, fucking hard-hitting, I don't know if you call them ads or whatever you want to call them, little fucking shorts there, and they were really, really good. I'd like to see them get back into doing more and more of those. Like when they used to troll fucking Mar-a-Lago with the planes and the signs outside. I think when midterms really starts ramping up, I think we'll definitely start seeing more of that. But let me see if I get into thanking you fabulous fucking people, every single one. Look at all you guys who are donating and contributing to the show, making it a possibility for it to continue. Don't forget, tomorrow is going to be the start of our new Wednesday 1 to 2 p.m. show. And then we're also going to have Jake Bro on the podcast tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Make sure you're checking that out. Put the notification bell on. Those of you who are familiar with Jake Bro, he's been on the show before. Great insights into the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Can't wait to hear what his thoughts are on the summit between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, and also the European leaders meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump, and what we can expect from here, and what he thought of the body language, and of course the question you guys have been wanting to ask, and did we get a chance to see a Vladimir Putin body double? Of course, you guys know my opinion on that is no, it wasn't, but I'd like to hear what Jake has to say, so make sure you're around tomorrow night for that. Make sure you're tuning in tomorrow, again, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 11 a.m. To 12 p.m. Pacific on the West Coast here. Also be simulcast on this space, so shout out to the Letter Hack. Thank you so much for his offering me the time and the space for that. I do appreciate it. But let's get into thanking you fine people. I appreciate it. First off is Gino. Let's fucking go, Gino. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here for 17 months. American flags on Russian tanks. Disgusting. Well, I hate to be a stickler like that, but luckily it wasn't a Russian tank. Unfortunately, it was an American troop carrier, the M113 there. So I'm just kidding. I actually was just watching like historians break down the historical accuracies of like movies and TV shows and stuff like that, and they were kind of talking about being a stick like that. So it just kind of popped in my head. I apologize, Gino. But yes, your contributions to the show are very much appreciated, and your sentiment is definitely much agreed upon here, where it's definitely disgusting to see in any way the Russian flag flying next to the American flag on the battlefield in Ukraine is fucking disgusting. So definitely. Thank you, Roxanne, so much for being here for 4 months. Looking forward to a double dose of you tomorrow. Well, I appreciate that, Roxanne. I hope you guys don't get sick of me too quickly. Thank you, Lisa, for your $15 contribution. Such a kind and generous contribution. A great way to help this channel grow and to keep this channel on the air is contributions from you people, because like I said, this is 100% truly independent media, nothing behind a paywall. You are forced to come out of pocket with absolutely no money whatsoever to see my content. It is only if you find some value, if you find some entertainment information from the content that I produce, that I ask you, if you're in the position to do so, to think about contributing financially, either on Patreon, becoming a channel member for as little as $2.99 a month. You can donate memberships, many ways to do that. I hate to keep talking about it. I hate to keep bringing it up, but now this is a full-time gig. Now that this is what I do, I really have to be aware and cautious, conscious, of the self-promotional aspect of this. And I don't like it. I know you guys know that I don't like it. It's not something that I particularly care to do, but it is a necessary evil of this. It is the necessary evil of this job and what I chose to do with my life. So I appreciate it that you guys continue to support and contribute to the show. People like Sheldon for contributing to membership. People like Kristen for contributing 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Kristen. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here for 16 months as well. Here supporting democracy, and we appreciate you and recognize you for doing so. Absolutely. Adam, appreciate you. You fucking cracked me up with this one. Thank you so much for that $5, you bastard. Thank you so much, Pam, for becoming a new member. I really, really appreciate all the new members, all the new subscribers. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you don't know if you are, hop out, take a look. It's free to do so. A lot of people watch but aren't subscribed. A lot of people watch but don't like. A lot of people watch but don't share. If you could do any one of those free things, it goes a long way in helping the show. I promise it does. Thank you so much, Max Beadle. I appreciate you, buddy, for the scoop with the shovel. Thank you so much. From NL. From NL. What's NL? From NL. Looks like you're sending in euro. What is NL? The Netherlands? No. New Zealand? No. Fill me in. You'll have to fill me in the chat. I can't guess what NL is at this moment in time. Thank you, Epi Girl. I appreciate that for becoming a new member. Where are you? Why don't let me show you? Well, let me show you. Comment. Show. Uh-oh. Did it freeze? What happened? Did it freeze on me? No, it didn't freeze. It didn't freeze. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Epi Girl. Thank you, Noah Dez, very much. Thank you, Kristen, again for another 5 gifted. Big day from Kristen. I really appreciate you guys contributing on YouTube there. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing anybody on Venmo, because you guys, again, contribute. Deserve to be recognized for your contribution. Excuse me. Let's see here. So I got Robert. Thank you so much. Claudia. Thank you so much. Teague. Thank you so much. James. Thank you so much. Nicole. Dame Dog. Thank you so much. Nancy, as usual. My sister Kelly. Thomas. Linda. Deanne. Nicole. Jennifer. Thomas. You guys are fantastic and always have been. Until tomorrow, you're going to see a nice, healthy double dose of Boston Brian here at Blunt Politics. So make sure you're checking me out both at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern and at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow night for our conversations, both with Major Ojeda, again, a candidate for North Carolina's North Congressional District and all-around ass kicker, and then tomorrow night with Jake Bro, content creator and, kind of expertise on the Russian invasion into Ukraine and what's going on in that situation. A lot of developments, a lot of stories in the news. So I kind of wanted to get his perspective on what's been going on. So hopefully you'll join me then. Until then, I hope you're getting out of your seats and into the streets. Find your nearest protest. Find your nearest rally. Stay loud. Stay proud. Stay fucking aggressive. But keep your head on a swivel out there. You never know who's out there trying to cause some trouble. Until tomorrow, I'm Boston Brian. This has been Blunt Politics. Continue to kick ass, ladies and gentlemen, because we are winning. We have the upper hand, and we will continue to fight every single day for democracy. We will continue to fight against ICE. We will continue to fight for Ukraine and for the Palestinian people. And we're going to continue to kick ass all the way into midterms. And it's only with your help that we can continue to do so. So I appreciate you. As always, I will see you tomorrow. Make sure you're enjoying the rest of your day and stay safe out there. All right. I'm Boston Brian. Keep kicking ass, guys. All right. Love you. Play today.
Hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. Revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really...
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful... Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
He says rectum damn near killed him.
I am the chosen one.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
No words. I have the best words. I have the.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, WW, it's good to know that don't keep your eyes open on women. Good to know I'm that boring that it's so easy to fall asleep.
Is there anything worse than white people?
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.
I'm standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
Thank you, Mods. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Rock. Yeah, I really do. I'll see you guys tomorrow, right?